Matt, one more question I totally forgot, and it's the most important question. Taco cat or purito?
Do I have to eat the cat?
No one's asked that yet. Hi, I'm Jamie Hernandez, and this is the Ins and Outs with Mackie, a show about awesome gear and awesome people. We'll be bringing you musicians, engineers, podcasters, streamers, and even the occasional Mackoid. Our guest today is an avid gamer, food connoisseur, practitioner of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but he's mostly known as the guitarist and lead singer of the Grammy-nominated heavy metal band Trivium. Mackie Heafy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
So let's start at the beginning. You started at a really young age. What was your first introduction to metal, and how old were you when you first joined Trivium?
I first picked up guitar because it was like the cool thing to do. I don't really know any other reason than that. So I picked it up. I tried out for a band. They were all 1 year older than me. I was, I think, 7th grade, and they were in 8th grade. I tried out for their band. My tryout song was Damn It by Blink-182. I thought I did great. I never got the call back, so I was super depressed and super bummed out. I was like, all right, I'm giving up on guitar and music altogether. And it was within a couple of months that someone lent me the Black Album by Metallica. I'd never heard metal before, never known what that was. I listened to those sounds. I was like, that's the kind of music I feel like I'm supposed to play. So I put myself just in my room with my guitar and kept playing until I was able to duplicate those sounds, kind of unaware that that's what it is to practice and to get good at something. I got pretty decent. Played my 8th grade talent show, covered No Leaf Clover, and I was asked by kids that were 2 years older than the other band I tried out for. So these were high school kids asking me to try out for their band. I think they were all like 16, 17, and I was about 13.
Oh my goodness.
And my tryout song was From the Bell Tolls. I walked in, everyone's looking at me like, what's this kid know? What's this kid going to do? I played it, and their looks went from one blank stare to another blank stare, and then I was in the band. So I was the lead guitar player of the band. At that point, I was in 8th grade. We played their high school battle of the bands. I've been in the band ever since. Originally, the band was meant to be an industrial band, like Skinny Puppy, Rammstein, early Nine Inch Nails, early Manson, that kind of vibe. But we wanted to be like a thrash band at that time. So our original singer, there was an original singer before me. He was only in the band for a couple months. He said, you guys keep the name. Let's split the songs in half. I'm going to start a new band. And then I became the singer of Trivium because we couldn't find anyone else. And our drummer said, you're going to be the singer. So 13 years old is when I joined Trivium. It was my first band, first job. And that takes us all the way up to 9 records and thousands of shows later, and a couple million, hopefully, at least if you combine every record, album sales. And then now I've got my second job ever, which is playing Trivium songs on the internet now.
That's awesome. So I kind of want to dig into when you first started. Things were obviously different back then when you'd record your albums. I read that you did your first demo in 2002, correct me if I'm wrong, and that was kind of the album that started getting the attention of labels and stuff. How can you compare creating something like that then to what's offered to us now?
I think it's much easier to get your stuff out there these days, but the competition's much higher. But then the competition was super high even when we came out in comparison to how it must have been in the 80s, 90s, I assume. Or maybe it's always been there, but it seems like there definitely are a lot of musicians. And nowadays, even on my Twitch stream rig, I can make recording. My guitar tone right now, when I stream, it sounds just as good as our record, which is insane, the fact that I can do that off of a laptop. We did several kind of like DIY style demos and eventually did one that's hailed as the Blue Demo. We did that. Our webmaster, my dad was our manager at the time. He knew my favorite band was In Flames. He's like, let's look at what they're doing for webmaster. So we found their webmaster name, a guy named Frederick Cream, who we're in touch with here and there. He did our website and got the Blue Demo to In Flames. And then I saw Jesper, who was my favorite guitar player in the world, holding that Blue Demo in a picture, which blew my mind. He also was doing the websites for this record label called Life Force Records. Sorry, my brain's a little foggy. Our son woke us up quite a bit last night for a couple of hours. He introduced it to Life Force Records. Life Force Records was the original home of German metalcore bands like Heaven Shall Burn, Caliban. It's where Between the Buried and Me got started. The record went to them. They contacted us, said they'd love to sign us. They signed us. So they were the first label to really ever hear of us. They signed us. At the time, they were a really tiny label. They've since grown. They've since really gotten it together. But I remember like release day for Ember to Inferno, we all went to our local record store. We're like, do you guys have the Trivium record? They're like, no. So we excitedly thought it was sold out, but they just didn't stock it. So a couple years later, we finally got that sorted. Around the time of Ember to Inferno releasing, Monty Connor from Roadrunner Records emailed my dad, our manager, and said, you guys are really good. You're not there yet. I'm curious to see where you'll be in a year or so. And when we saw that, my dad took charge and said, this means they have interest. Why don't you guys record the new songs you've been working on? So we recorded 3 more songs, like Light to the Flies, Blinding Tears Will Break the Skies, and The Deceived, with a producer named Jason Sukoff. Did those, shot a music video for what we felt the strongest song was, like Light to the Flies. Actually, the video is the demo version. Sent it to Roadrunner, and immediately they said they want to sign us right off the bat. So we showed them initiative. Nowadays, yeah, it's tough. There are so many people out there. Even when I first jumped over to Twitch, now and I know a lot of people know me for the channel. The channel is doing well, but it was 2 years, or let me think. It's only been within the last 3 to 6 months the channel has really taken off. And in that time before that, it was 7 days a week off on tour, 5 days a week off tour, hours upon hours, and sometimes in front of only a very few amount of people a day. So it's the same thing. It's like there's everything in life that's worth it is a climb and is a struggle.
Even
and should be that way.
Trivium, right?
Yes, it really was. Because we had a lot of people, like other streamers, like, oh, well, you just came in here and because you're quote famous already, you have an audience. Like, no, it's not that. It's taken me thousands of hours to build this, and now finally it's kind of taken off. Same thing with Trivium. I mean, Trivium 13 to from when I was Trivium didn't really make a penny from when I was 13 till I was 26, or wait, not maybe 26, maybe 23, 22. It takes a long time, but that's a good thing. I think nothing should ever be handed to us, and everything that's worth it should take some effort.
Absolutely agree with that. Speaking of recording, you have your 9th album. You want to talk about the new album? I know it only took 16 days. Could you speak to the process of that?
Yep, we are all so rehearsed, and we're such obsessive practitioners of what we do. Yeah, it only took 16 days. We budgeted 2 to 3 months, or whatever, really, however long we needed, we would have taken. Thanks to, I attribute 3 things to putting me in the practice regiment that I am now. Blowing my voice out in 2014 is one of them that I attribute to why I'm a better singer and screamer now than ever, because I realized I was doing everything incorrectly, and I had to unlearn everything and relearn everything the right way. Getting into Brazilian Jiu Jitsu 7 years ago and incorporating a new thing where starting off for years, I was terrible. And still, even when I train recently, I mean, not right now, but even when I train recently, it's always a struggle. There's always someone better, and there's always someone there to humble you, which I think is a really good thing. And there's always room to grow. And the only way to get better is to do it. There are no shortcuts. You can't watch a video. You can't download an app. You can't take a supplement. You have to just get good at it by doing it. And that's what I really appreciate. That it's that same thing I just referenced a second ago, but having to grow Trivium about growing the stream. It's these difficult paths that I don't love the difficulty, but I think it's important. It's what makes us. And the final thing is as to why I feel the best singer, screamer, guitar player that I've ever been is Twitch streaming. Because when that 2.5 years ago, I started streaming 3 years ago, but 2.5 years ago, when my friends Brandon and John from Twitch said, why don't you stream your practices? And I said, no one wants to see that. And then lo and behold, I was incorrect. At that time, when I set up that schedule, because I'm really good with schedule. My dad is a Marine, my mom is Japanese, so they're 2 very regimented cultures, and I like regimentation. I like obsessive scheduling. And with that, so there'd be days I'd wake up and be like, all right, I don't want to practice today, but there are people depending on me. There are people that want to be here, want to hear music. Same thing with during quarantine. The whole reason why my channel exists during this is just to give people a place to be and to be connected with other people. I've been saying physically distant while socially connected. And I know that there are some of our fans that are unemployed now, that are furloughed now, that are working from home watching kids. And if our channel on Twitch can give them that little bit of relief for those couple of hours a day, then that's what it's here for. It's free. Anyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome as long as they're good to one another. And that's the same ethos of what our record is and why we decided to not push that. Because a lot of bands were talking about, oh, well, record sales will hurt right now if we release a record. And for us, we're like, we don't care. We just want to give people, I mean, what's our record? 47 minutes. We want to give them 47 minutes of escape and just 47 minutes of joy and just make them feel good because they deserve it.
You're still working on your craft, and I think it's important for our viewers to know that.
Yeah, my ethos, the way I think of it is I practice to be the best in the world, knowing I will not ever be the best in the world. I practice vocals to be as good as my heroes like Freddie Mercury or Bruce Dickinson, knowing it'll never happen. I practice for perfection, knowing that perfection is impossible. And I think that that's kind of like a nice yin yang about the whole thing.
Absolutely.
And there's always room to grow. There's always good days and bad days. And I think that's why the channel is so interesting, because about 75 to 90% of the time on my channel, it's me playing Trivium songs for Trivium fans. And it's showing that there are good days and there are bad days. There are days where my voice sounds better. I've been determining lately I can get higher pitch screams in the morning, and singing is harder in the morning, but singing is easier in the afternoon. I've been playing with how much warm-up time versus how much time in between for the next stream. I kind of determine on tour 5 hours between is the right amount for show and warm-up. And then at home, like 8 hours works as well. So it's like taking rigorous notes and stuff and figuring out. It's the athlete analogy is something I wouldn't have understood until I got into jiu-jitsu, because I didn't really play sports as a kid. I played video games, and then I started playing guitar. But what I've seen in my life, I've even been that musician for a minute, and we've had that musician in our band at times where they feel like you're signed, you've made it, you've got it. You don't have to practice anymore. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. Just go on tour. It'll be fine. And some musicians are fine. Some guys don't have to warm up. They've never trained. They've never had lessons. They don't have to warm up, and they're incredible every single night. There's some guys that can do that. There's some guys that can treat their bodies like crap and sound amazing, but that one eventually falters. But then there are people that think they're great and they're not. So what you have to do is you have to make it where it's an extension of who you are. And I definitely realize that is more like an athlete. An athlete, they can't have time off. I mean, maybe they've got time off here and there, but I want to make it where if I had to make a record tomorrow or go on tour tomorrow, I'm in shape. I used to take time off if we got home from a tour, and a month before a tour, 2 weeks before a tour, that's when I would get back in shape for tour. But now it's year round. If I get home on a Friday from a 3-month tour, I'm streaming and practicing in my Monday, and it's just what makes me feel better. I've had musicians say to me, I've had one guy that said, well, isn't that like super not punk rock and super not rock and roll that you practice that much and is that much of a regiment? It's like, well, no, it's actually the most rock and roll or punk rock thing, because when I go up on stage, I don't have to think at all. It's such programmed muscle memory at that point that it's just reflex, and I can just enjoy the show versus thinking, do I know this solo? Am I going to hit this note? Is my screaming going to work? It just works.
You're just ready to go at any moment. That's really awesome. You've been in Trivium for the last 20 years, but I read that you've also been gaming since you were 5. How has the Twitch empire started for you, and how do you think it's grown?
We played a show in Barcelona about 3-ish years, maybe a little over 3 years ago, and we met these YouTubers after the show, guys that we're good friends with still to this day, Jordy Wild, Joaquin Pan, Kajal Napalm, a couple other people. And I said out loud after those guys left, I said to the band, I was like, man, maybe I should start doing something on YouTube. And Paul looks at me and goes, why don't you try Twitch instead? And I was like, oh, I've heard of Twitch. I was like, what is that? I was like, that's more like live video game streaming, right? And he's like, yeah, you should look up that instead. So that night I started a YouTube account and a Twitch account, started both kind of at the same time, but I wasn't able to stream games yet. So when I got home, I'd casually stream on a PS4 with a webcam. There'd be like 5 to 30 people there. I'd stream for an hour or so a day, a couple days a week. It was very informal, didn't really know what I was doing too much. But at the time I started becoming like really acclimated to other Twitch streamers. Like I got into Shroud and Dakotas, and those guys were really my favorite streamers, still are to this day. And around the 2.5-year mark, when I'd already been streaming semi-regularly, and people saw that, hey, there's this band guy streaming on Twitch, to like, I'm talking like 25 people average. Twitch invited me to their headquarters in our San Francisco show. I met 2 guys, John and Brandon. They gave me a tour of the place, and they lent me a thing called the Gun Run IRL backpack. It's what we stream. Since that day, we have streamed every single Trivium show around the world for free from my channel. Every single one. We have a board mix that now feeds to that thing, so we just stream it. And we visited San Francisco. That's where my wife and I used to get tattooed all the time before we had kids. And we met up with John and Brandon again. And I was talking to John and Brandon saying, man, I really love streaming on Twitch, but I wish I had more time to do it. I can't, because I have to practice 1 to 2 to 3 hours a day to stay in shape. And that's when Brandon looks at me and goes, why don't you stream that? And I said, Brandon, no one wants to watch my vocal exercises. He's like, I bet you they do. So as of 2.5 years ago, that's when the channel really started changing.
Twitching.
Yeah.
You can make it a verb. I guess it's a verb now already.
From like 35 people to then an average of like 150 to 230 or so for like a couple of years. And then anytime we play a show, it'd spike and then kind of drop after the first show. And I was like, I've made it. This is amazing. This is great. And I just started it because I wanted to connect with our fans. And we've never really been a bands band. Like we get along with bands. We've always championed other bands. We've never been the kind of band that like other bands talk about. Like say like, hey, that band's really killer. That Trivium band. I love that band. We've never been those things, but we have always been a band it's had some of the most passionate fans, and that's what I wanted to do. That's why I wanted to start this thing, is show them, if they wanted to be there, what it takes for me to keep in shape for tour and keep in shape for records. And it steadily, slowly grew. And when the world got to this weird place where everyone had to be physically distant from each other, it was there. And after that 3 years of me telling people and explaining to people, hey, I stream on this platform called Twitch, come on over. Because it's very hard to port your audience from one thing to another. I talked to Jared Dines about that, who now streams very awesome stuff on Twitch as well, mostly gaming, but some music stuff. His YouTube is massive. He's got like 3 million subscribers, but it took a minute for him to bring his YouTube people over to Twitch. And for me, it wasn't that I showed up on Twitch and Twitch Gen Pop, kids that were watching Ninja and Shroud came over to me. That wasn't it at all. It was me educating Trivium fans to get a new social media and to learn the culture of this new social media and then come over to this. And so now that everyone's been home, they've really been keen on this. And just like I said, one of the earlier questions, I've looked at it as a responsibility to jokingly keep kids off the streets, but also just have something fun where people in these insanely bizarre, intense times to be able to have a positive place where we can all be and be with like-minded people that want everyone to be able to freely live the way they are and freely be the way they are and feel protected and safe there. And that's why I do what I do.
Speaking of which, you do a lot of cool stuff on your channel. You have partnered with Twitch to make the official how-to live stream guide. Do you have any best practices on how to get started for our viewers?
One of the big things, like I see a lot of musician guys talking about when I start my stream room, when I build my rig, just start. Just start. Even if you're just starting on your phone has a camera, your laptop has a camera, they both have microphones. Start that. Start streaming an hour or so a day. Bring your audience over. Rely on bringing the people over. If you have an audience already, bring them to your channel. If you don't have an audience already, work at it and start networking and branching out, meeting other streamers that do music streaming. I've thankfully been able to befriend a lot of the incredible music community that was already streaming on Twitch before a lot of these band guys come over, and they had a great thing going. And I think what's been great is all these band guys coming into Twitch, they're bringing their audiences who are into their bands. So it's creating a larger audience within like the Twitch stratosphere. So networking with other music streamers, getting onto streaming. Don't think you have to build some insane rig. I gradually built this. It took me a very long time. There were no guides on what to do or how to do it or what gear was right or wrong. I just had to piece it together myself. I think I've got 3 stream rigs now. I've got my mobile gaming rig for touring. I've got my home setup, which is a Mac fed into a PC. And then I've got the backpack that streams the shows. Trivium hopefully is about to buy an old airplane hangar and build another streaming rig where we'll actually stream every single band practice ever. 3 out of 4 Trivium members now are on Twitch as well. And it's been awesome. Paulo's first stream, I mean, he had the amount of viewers that I had after 2 years or like a year and a half. So that's amazing. So like the Trivium fans are ready and they understand what this is now. And Alex has been on for about, I think like a year and a half or 2 years now. Paulo's been on for about 2 weeks now. But yeah, any musicians wondering, help.twitch.tv, search for music. Right now, there's only like 2 or 3 videos, but there's about to be 12 to 15 videos of me explaining everything of how to get your rig in there, how to set it up. And it's about community. I've had a lot of musicians ask me like, oh, which platform can I make the most money on? I was like, if that's what you're going for, Twitch isn't really for you. Twitch is about building a community. I like it that there is no paywall. It's free. If people want to contribute and help build the channel, they can. If all they can do to support the channel is hit follow, that's fine. If some people that have followed and have never put a penny in the channel, and that's great, they're just as welcome as anyone else who's gifted hundreds or thousands of gift subs or has donated to the channel or bought merch. It's whatever someone is able to do, they're helping build this thing together with us.
Are there any advantages for people when they subscribe to your channel personally?
Yeah, you get emotes. We've got a ton of emotes, like a lot now that are actually more centered around like live stuff. We've got like circle pit emotes, but it makes feel more like a show.
What is a circle pig? Say that again.
Circle pit emote. So it's like a
Circle
bunch of
pit
like
emote,
stick
thank you.
figures running around in a circle. So like that kind of stuff. So, and I think that it really helps. Like it makes it feel more, even for me, more like a show, even though it's not really a show. That really goes back to that ethos of it can be whatever you want it to be. If you can just be there, that's fine. If someone feels like, I've got $5 a month, I want to support this person, I can. Or if someone wants to go to that next level, they can as well. Subs, those are the only people we play games with. So we do a lot of custom like 6v6 in Overwatch or 5v5 on Valorant or 6v6 or 8v8 on Call of Duty. So subscribers are the ones that if they want to play sub games, when we do that, they can do that. Subscribers are also the ones that pick the set list every single stream. At the beginning, I pick 5 to 10 Trivium songs across the 9 records, and it's only sub picked. And before all this happened, and we're going to wait till like people feel ready to do this again, we were doing Kiichi Heafy karaoke, where people have a 5-minute bidding period, start at $1, and by the end of that timer, that sub, whatever song happens, I have to learn that however long it takes. Sometimes it takes 2 streams, sometimes it takes 15 minutes, sometimes it takes 5 minutes. For some pop stuff, it'll take me about 5 minutes. I don't even have to like really listen to the full song. I'll listen to half the song and understand it. But we've done things like Cannibal Corpse made like Beautiful. We've done things like Justin Bieber done with Screaming. I had to learn how to rap to cover Logic, which was very difficult. And it wasn't cringy. I was worried it was going to be terrible, but it actually ended up really being really good.
I did see that, and it was actually really good, I have to admit.
That was hard.
But it's building you as a musician, and Twitch seems to have really helped you grow as a musician in many ways. How else has it helped you as a musician?
I mean, the fact that I feel like I'm a better guitar player, rhythm and lead, songwriting, singer, screamer, frontman, speaker than I've ever been. And the reason for that is that 75 to 90% of the time of that 3 to 6 hours a day, 5 days a week off tour, I'm rehearsing, I'm practicing, as I should be. Just like that, back to that athlete mentality. It's drills. It's me drilling our songs. It's me practicing our songs and trying to nail it. And from that, I think the proof is in the new record. The fact that it only took 16 days is because we're so practiced. All 4 of us do have this same kind of practice regimen. It's just I'm the one that really shows it the most. Paulo, I think maybe like 50-50 gaming music, and Alex is like 50-50 gaming music. And then I'm like 75 to 90% music gaming. I keep trying to convince Corey to do it. He just doesn't answer me. I don't know what that means.
One day he'll jump on the train.
Yeah, he should.
You hosted the first ever Full Metal Gaming Village at Wacken Open Air. For people listening and don't know what that is, that's the largest heavy metal festival worldwide. Can you talk a little bit about how you combined metal and gaming for their 30th anniversary show?
Yep. Oh yeah. Sorry, you couldn't see it in this camera. The main camera, there's a Bakken flag behind me.
Oh, okay.
Bakken is like, it's my favorite festival in the world. I've always heard about it as a kid before we ever played it. It's like headlined by bands like Emperor. It doesn't have to rely on. I mean, it's a purely metal and metalcore and hardcore festival. It doesn't need any big pop metal or pop rock bands to come on and make it a big thing. Unfortunately, this one had to get postponed, but this year when they announced it, when I was there, it sold out in 23 hours for all 4 days. It was supposed to be headlined by like Amon Amarth and Slipknot and several other bands. It's like hundreds of incredible metal and metalcore bands. They hit me up because they heard that I was kind of bridging the gap between music and gaming, and we hosted like daily Overwatch competitions with me and people that would come up there, and I would also play acoustic shows. So it was a really cool thing. We had a lot more plans kind of in the works for this year's Wacken, but since it got postponed, all that got put on hold, unfortunately. But that was really incredible, and been able to do some really cool stuff. I did the Fortnite Summer Skirmish a couple years ago. I was actually killed by Ninja and Dr. Lupo.
The Ninja.
Yep, I was actually killed by him. He threw stink bombs at me, said, "I'm throwing stink bombs on these kids." And later I tweeted him and thanked him, and he laughed.
It's a good way to go out.
Yeah, so that was cool. I helped open the esports arena at Full Sail, the music and gaming college. That's actually where we recorded our new record at as well. And a lot of really cool things. It's been awesome.
Well, I think it's time to ask you a few one-off questions that aren't really Trivium related.
Sounds good.
What mythical creature do you wish really existed?
I guess everyone wishes dragons existed, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. I've done a few interviews, and so far we have now 3 unicorns, and now you're our 3rd dragon. So this is awesome.
Well, I guess I should think of something different then.
Yeah, let's throw a new animal into the lineup.
I mean, the beast on my back tattoo is pretty cool. Yamato no Orochi. It's a 8-headed demon dragon thing of the sea. Yeah, that and I would have to fight it and cut its heads off because that's the story on my back.
Speaking of fighter, if you were a street fighter, what would your theme song be and why?
Oh gosh, I hate striking. I only like grappling and leg locks.
You could probably write your own. I know you did your own the Shroud theme song.
Oh yeah, Mozart's Requiem for whoever I might be fighting.
Oh, there you go. That's fancy. Who would play you in a movie of your life?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh my God, you nailed it.
Yeah, people have always said that, and they used to say it before he was like the cool actor, and now he's super cool.
He's always been cool. Even when he was a kid,
Third
he
Rock
was
from the
like
Sun.
badass. Yeah.
Yep. But they always say that, or they said Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger and I have the same forehead.
Who would narrate you in the story of your life? Who would be like your Morgan Freeman? Or is it Morgan Freeman?
Let's say Keanu Reeves, because it wouldn't make any sense.
Matt, one more question I totally forgot, and it's the most important question. Taco cat or purito?
Do I have to eat the cat?
Oh, I didn't think about that when I asked that question. No one's asked that yet.
If you're going to say tacos or burritos, I would say tacos because you could eat more of them.
There you go. We'll leave that there. And now we get to see what you've been up to during the quarantine. You've shared some Twitch performances with us, so we're going to go ahead and cut to those.
And then the solo. Okay, I got it now. My bad, sorry. What will it take to rip the heart from your head? It's easy to be right when everything repeats. It's easier to cut us down and put our defeat. It's easy to be right when everything repeats. Dip below the surface, find your insecurities. Tell me, maybe you were right, maybe I was wrong, but I've been silent for far too long. Maybe you were right, maybe I should go, but I've been silent for far too long. What will it take to rip the heart from your head? What will it take? What will it take to rip the heart from your head? To rip the heart from your head. To rip the heart from your head. You always walk away, soon you'll have to face it. Your distance from reality won't bury or erase it. I try to do the same, living so complacent, but the problems wouldn't go away. So I turn around and face them. Tell me, maybe you were right, maybe I was wrong, but I've been silent for far too long. Maybe you were right, maybe I should go, but I've been silent for far too long. What will it take to rip the heart from your head? What will it take? What will it take to rip the heart from your head? Maybe you were right, maybe I was wrong, but I've been silent for far too long. What will it take to rip the heart from your head? What will it take? What will it take to rip the heart from your head?
As I crawl through dirt and mud, I'm sinking under in a grave of life that was. I saw a line, I turned my back on everything. I searched for every memory pulling me down with you. But my head is circling, the fault of the earth was left of me. I sacrificed it all and I will fight till the world goes cold. This battle's burned all that I've known until our world goes cold. Nothing will keep me from this throne. I'll fight until the world goes cold. Till the world goes cold. As I build my house of bones, you're sinking under. For all your sins you will atone. I burn it down, I turn my back on everything. I search for every memory pulling me down with you. Above my head the circling, the fault of the word was lifted me. I sacrificed it all and I will fight till the world goes cold. This battle's burned all that I've known until the world goes cold. Nothing will keep me from this throne. I'll fight until the world goes cold. This battle has burned dull. I will fight forevermore until the world goes cold. This battle's burned all that I've known until the world goes cold. This battle's burned all that I've known until the world goes cold. Nothing will keep me from this throne. I'll fight until the world goes cold. Until the world goes cold. Until the world goes cold. I'm wearing thin, wearing out because.
Darn it. Take two.
Wearing thin, wearing out, becoming weak, holding hands with this rope. She's my self-destructive, bleeding disease, the thing that makes it hard to breathe. But if I shove you far away, this addict just stopped again. It's fixated, and now I see it's you that's tearing me and snaring me. This is me dying in your arms. I caught you out, now set me. This tie above what used to be in the gallows before me. So I escape, got this new sorrow all night. And I got afraid to see the things that blinded me, and I shoved you far away. Now I live the life I dream of, your dead to me. And now I see it's you that's tearing me and snaring me. This is me dying in your arms. I caught you out, now set me. And now I see it's you that's tearing me and snaring me. This got you and now set me free. You poison my knife, so I take this knife and I cut you out, cut you out. And now I see it's you that's tearing me and snaring me. This is me dying in your arms. I cut you and you set me. And now I see it's you that's tearing me and snaring me. This is me dying in your arms. I cut you and now set me free. Set me free. Set me free. Set me free.
Well, thank you for sharing these songs with us. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Just twitch.tv/Matthew K. Heafy, Matthew K. Heafy on all socials. That would be Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I got talked into a TikTok. Everything. It's just Matthew K. Heafy. I lucked out that my name was available on everything. So follow me on all of that stuff. If you want free, awesome place to be with awesome people, twitch.tv/Matthew K. Heafy, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern every day.
Again, thank you so much for coming on and joining us today. This is The Ins and Outs with Mackie, a show about awesome gear and awesome people. We had Matt Heafy today, the lead singer and guitarist of Trivium. Check him out. Make sure you subscribe and stick around for our next episodes. Thanks, guys.